Welcome back to the Spook House. Hope you're all doing well. Doug, how are you, my friend? Did you have a Merry Christmas? Did you see Nosferatu on Christmas? Which, by the way, I say Nosferatu. Doug says Nosferatu. Willem Dafoe says Nosferatu, apparently.
Nosferatu.
Tomato, blue jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit? So let's get that out of the way. Did you go see Nosferatu?
And I wasn't even going to, you know me so well, because yes, I would have said something, but I didn't say something because I said it the last time. But I can't really, you can't deny Daddy Willem Dafoe, so whatever he says goes. As for Nosferatu, we saw it on the day after Christmas.
The day after.
Today, Junior. And I did watch Knives Out, so I'm still my voice apparently is still emulating the foghorn leghorn dialect of Daniel Craig in that movie, even though you're not a fan of Knives Out.
Yeah, thought it was okay. I like the second one more. But yeah, so you saw it the day after Christmas?
Saw it the day after Christmas. 10 o'clock showing at night. It was dark, moody.
Yeah, I don't know how you do those late showings. So you must have been home at like, what, 12:30 or something?
Around there, yeah. And you saw it on Christmas in the boiling heat of Floridian weather.
I saw it on Christmas. I didn't tell you this, but we had the worst theater experience I've ever had.
Oh,
like pretty much on the last episode when I was saying, like, I hope this doesn't happen, it happened.
You jinxed it.
Do you ever, when you get to the theater, and by the way people are talking during the previews, you can kind of gauge, you're like, oh, this is going to be bad. I mean, it's okay to have a little banter in between previews. That's expected, but once the movie starts, shut the fuck up. But I could tell right off the bat that these people were not ready for a Victorian era, gothic, moody, slow burn horror movie.
What age demographic were they? You can kind of tell sometimes.
I mean, it was like 18 to 50, just pieces of trash in all ages.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the whole theater, not just a specific group of people.
It wasn't a matter of should I shush someone. It's who shouldn't I shush? Do I stand up and hold court and say, hello, everyone in the front row, to the people on the right, on the left, shut the fuck up?
And you weren't at an Alamo, right?
No, it was an AMC. And
AMC is the wild, wild west.
It truly was.
When it comes to just like policing people's behavior, they don't give a shit.
It was like so bad that I just gave up and accepted it. Because if it were one person, I would somehow be more upset, because I could just hone in on this one asshole and be like, what's this guy's problem? But because it was everyone, it's like, okay, yeah, fuck it. Why not? All right.
More so anger than disappointment. If it's one person, it's disappointing because, like, it's called theater etiquette. You should know how to act in a movie theater. People want to enjoy it. People don't want to hear, wow, Missy has these zoomies.
She's zooming around. She's doing her thing. She missed me while I was in Florida, but
she's super pumped to have Daddy back.
Speaking of Baby Girl, I didn't know they made a movie about Mipsy. Am I right?
Well,
that's Baby Girl.
Not going to unpack what that means, but well, there is a lot of milk in that movie. Just prepare yourselves.
All right. I wasn't trying to sexualize my cat, but she is Baby Girl, okay?
There's different definitions of Baby Girl.
Sure. But yes, my theater experience the first time just set the building on fire. Fuck everyone. It was awful.
Dude, I get in the mode when that happens. Like, I make it a point to let them know that I'm annoyed and that they should probably quiet down and maybe like shut the fuck up. Like, I give them a lot of like open-eyed glances, but there's been times where I'm a snitch. I went out and I got the usher. I told them that people were being loud in the theater and they need to do something about it because it's ruining the experience. I will take the fall for that. I'm a snitch. I don't care.
No, and I thought of that too, but I can't overstate it enough here. It was everyone. The entire row in front of me. Like, it was a fucking madhouse.
And it was a packed theater, I assume, right?
Yeah. And when I saw it again at Alamo a couple nights ago, sold out, great crowd. Everybody just shut up and watched the movie.
The Alamo is for the real moviegoers. AMC, you get a lot of, I mean, granted, there's plenty of people who go to the Alamo. I feel like people who go to the Alamo are just more film fans than the casual fan. AMC, it's teenagers who hate their parents and they just want to like fuck around and go outside and go to the theater and just not pay attention to a movie. We are serious movie fans. There are other serious movie fans who like want you to zip it or we're going to break your hip.
And before that, so I've been dead set on getting a fucking popcorn bucket, the sarcophagus. I get to the AMC, I'm in line, I see them behind the counter. I'm like, oh my God, finally, there they are. The person in front of me, they get one. And then there's like some commotion with the manager. They're like looking at the bucket and they were like, oh, well, she asked for one too. So I was like, something's happening, but I don't like it.
Something is up.
Yeah. So turns out they sold the last one to this couple, but this lady had already bought one. So they had to refund this guy. So long story short, by the time I got to the front, they were like, yeah, we just sold the last one. And the lady's like right beside me. And I'm like, fuck. Dude, I was so upset. I mean, I kept it in. I didn't throw a Karen tantrum, but damn, I wanted to.
Wow. And on Christmas, no less. Just a disappointing day all around for your Nosferatu loving heart. And now they're going to be on eBay for like $200.
They're not going for 200, but yeah, 70, 80 bucks. But I did get one from the Alamo. You can kind of see it in the background there.
Oh, yeah.
Have a little candle in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very moody, very sexy. Very baby girl.
But so baby girl. So I did get one from Alamo because I pre-bought one like a month ago, along with a pint glass.
Oh, wow. I'm so glad you loved the movie. Well,
yes, I love the movie. Fucking shoot me, apparently.
No. Listen, we're going to get into it.
We are going to get all up into it.
All up into that rat-filled floor, but yeah, I was looking forward to us talking about it because we are on opposite ends of the spectrum here.
Well, all right, we just got to put this out there. You've only seen it once. I saw it twice, and I actually liked it more on the second watch, just because the first time it's, it's a big moment. It's a lot to take in visually with the dialogue and everything. So it's just a lot to process. And I liked it well enough on the first time. I was like, I gotta think about it. That's after any big movie. You could ask me what I thought about something immediately after, and I'm like, that was pretty good. That was good. That's all I got because I'm just processing.
Yeah, you need to marinate in it. You have to think about it a little more. And I've been thinking about the movie ever since I saw it, ever since a couple days ago. So it's still in my mind. It's the same story as every other Nosferatu, which there's nothing wrong with that. It was just a different take on it. And while I did like the dialogue, I think the stuff that they gave Lily Rose Depp was like meaty and just very, very outside of her. Well, I won't say outside of her range because it's in her range, but it was nice to see her do something so extravagant like this, where you're like, oh, okay, like she's a real contender. Yeah, I just have a lot of other problems with it, and it doesn't come down to just the mustache. I promise.
Should we put 30 seconds on the clock and let you just get it out of your system? In an arena full of people bitching about this mustache, I think you are king of people that have a problem with the mustache. So
it's just this. And thank you for giving me the floor for at least 30 seconds until you completely eviscerate me. I already know I'm going to get shit on. So many people love this movie.
Look, you're not alone. I mean, I've seen plenty of people complain about the mustache, along with a lot of other things. People that were saying, oh, it's boring and too long. And I think a lot of people went into this. I'm just picturing the crowd that I saw this movie with in Florida. They were like, oh, this is like a vampire scary movie. Oh, yeah, this is going to be like jump scare vampire generic shit. Not like this epic fairy tale.
See, I didn't get, that's one thing that I have a gripe with. I didn't get the epic feeling at all from this movie. I kind of felt like, and the pacing was fine. I just felt like a lot of it was kind of innocuous in a way, like kind of just like throwaway. Like, oh, I felt like this, at least with the camera work, which is what I seem to keep going back to.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from the monochromatic look, which I thought looked fantastic. I thought the movie looked great. I thought the use of color, shadows, and how it was sometimes, it looked black and white, but you could see those little pops of white and pops of black and little pops of color here and there. I think Robert Eggers thrives, but it was a little too, now this, again, I already know I'm going to get eviscerated. It was a little too Robert Eggers-y. I think he was just too much like up his own ass a little bit with like just the camera being in one spot, and there's no interesting camera movements, and it was just so tight on all of the actors' faces the whole time. You didn't get a scope of what was going on around them. Like in the 1979 version, directed by Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski and Isabella Gianni and everything, when you see the scope of how the rats are taking over this town, it kind of, at least personally for me, it felt like there was a plague happening. In this movie, to me, it just didn't have that like grandiose type of feel in my eyes.
Well, when you mention the rats specifically, I mean, okay, you have the scene where the ship crashes and the rats spill onto the streets. You have a few other scenes, at least, where the rats are running through the street and they're burning bodies and dogs are eating bodies. And there's a scene when they're in the carriage and in the background you see bodies in the streets. I mean, how much more rat carnage were you looking for? Like a lady goes to take a shower and a rat comes out of the drain and, oh my God, it's rats. Oh no, the plague. I mean,
everybody is rats.
I just don't know how much more you wanted to establish that a plague was going on.
It just, the scenes were filmed so tight that
some of them, yes, but there are some grand shots. I mean, like, look at the background here. The shot of the carriage heading towards the castle with the wolves running behind it. Holy shit.
That was I have amazing. No problem. I have no problem with that specific scene, but once you get into the castle, you really don't get like the grit and, amount, like the castle is very, 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 and this is going to sound like not condescending, but hypocritical, but dark. Like you don't see how far it goes, or you don't see the grit on the walls. You don't see how this creature is living. I thought it would only focused on like one part of the castle and kind of didn't look, I don't know.
I mean, there were some big shots in the courtyard area. Actually, some of my favorite shots of the movie, like when Nicholas Holt is walking through the courtyard and there's the framing of the shot with the door behind him. I don't know. There were a lot of beautiful shots in the exteriors of the castle. But I mean, there's some griminess of the castle in the movie. It's lit by fire, and Robert
And
Eggers
candles, yes.
is of course like he's not afraid to light a scene only by fire and just to give it that natural moodiness.
Like the witch, he used no stage lighting or anything, right? He just used straight up, just all natural light.
Yeah.
Which for that movie, it looked. I thought he did an incredible job with that because it really looked like drab, but it also had like that feeling that you're kind of in the time that he wants to portray.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, I just feel like he didn't do anything too different camera wise that he did in his previous films. I think that, look, sometimes it looked like he just put the camera down, hit record, and just kind of let the camera sit there and just do its thing.
I'm gonna have to.
You can push back on me.
I'm gonna have to push. I'm gonna have to go ahead and disagree with you there. You've been having a lot of trouble with your TPS reports.
Fucking TPS reports.
But I do have to mention that he's had the same cinematographer for all of his movies, Jaron Blaschke. I watched a really good podcast episode with him. There's like a cinematographer podcast, and it was like an hour long of him talking specifically about Nosferatu and what they did to get different looks and the custom made filters they had built for this movie. Very smart guy. Definitely watch that if you're in love with the cinematography of this movie. But yeah, as far as like camera movement goes, there are some scenes where it's not just placed in one spot.
Yes,
action.
It sways to the left very slowly and sways to the right very slowly, and
I like that though. One scene that when you mentioned panning left and right that I really enjoyed was when Anna walks out into the hallway and she has that oil lamp and she hears a noise and it just slowly pans over to the staircase and then back to her, and Lily Rose Depp is like right behind her. I thought it was perfect. It was what the scene needed. It didn't need like quick cuts and boom in your face sound effect.
No,
it was just
right.
the sound of the hissing of the oil lamp. That's all you heard. I just thought that was a nice touch. Very
I just think
minimal.
They use that trope way too much in this movie. That just camera trope of just like panning really slowly and focusing on something and then panning all the way back to the character that he's focusing on.
I would have to go back and rewatch it to make note of specific examples where he does that, but I don't think there's that many.
That's all I saw through the whole movie. Maybe I
think that's why you need to rewatch it, but you went to see Baby Girl instead last night.
I needed to see Baby Girl. Needed to see Nicole Kidman.
Do you need to? No, I plan on going to see it tomorrow night.
I want to put it out there that I did not hate the movie.
Kind of seems like you do. You seem to be on this crusade of hate right now. But I get what you're saying. Robert Eggers is, you know what? I just want to say this up front. I was thinking about this recently. He might be my favorite filmmaker right now. I mean, when you just look at his body of work and how they are similar, he does have this, he puts that gothic stank on it, you know, but they're all very unique in their own way. The Witch, the Lighthouse, the Northman, they're all very distinct.
Yeah, he has his own style, and just like any great director, you could tell that, if you put on a movie, oh, this is a Robert Eggers movie because of his style choices and just how the film looks. Same thing with like Martin Scorsese or Christopher Nolan or any of the greats. I do believe Robert Eggers will be up there with one of the more innovative modern day filmmakers, but I think he needs to just come outside of the box a little bit and just do a little, just needs a little bit more flair. That's all I'm saying. Just needs a little bit more flair. I didn't like The Witch the first time I saw it, and I rewatched it on your record, and I really enjoyed it. I watched it with subtitles, which helped.
It does help, yeah.
Helped a lot, and I really enjoyed The Witch on the second watch. The Lighthouse, I think, was a great acting exercise for Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. Other than that, I think the story squandered a bit. I just think he still has, and this is coming from someone who's not a director, I just think that there's just a little more work to be done to not stay in that. He could get to the upper echelon of directing. I feel it.
I think he's already there. I think look, I'm not saying that this is a flat out perfect movie. There was nothing in the movie that I flat out hated. Maybe some pacing issues. It was a little disjointed at times. But yeah, overall, I loved it.
And what did you think about the overall acting?
Phenomenal.
There was no weak links for you at all?
I know that you have a problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Kick-ass, yes.
Yeah, you know what? I did not know that was the guy that played Kick-ass. I'm glad I didn't know that going into it because that's all I would have seen. But I know you have a problem with him, but I thought he was fine for his character, who's this sort of cocky, arrogant, young, rich guy who refuses to believe that his life is crumbling around him and people are dying. You said that he was overacting, a little over the top, but I thought that's what his character sort of called for. And I didn't see anything too egregious where I was like, hey buddy, tone it down or whatever.
There were some moments where I just kind of scoffed and just laughed at him because it just seemed like he just took the Victorian approach a little too close to heart, and that's just him. Aaron Taylor Johnson, I think, is an okay actor. I think Nicholas Hoult deserves his flowers right now.
That's also the time period we're living in this movie. Yeah, you are going to have those, we might see them as, oh, yes, the stereotypical rich man. Yeah, but those people existed.
Do you think to that extent? I mean, I know in silent movies, they have to express more so, and it just seemed like everyone else seemed like they were in a movie. It seemed like Aaron Taylor Johnson was doing a stage play. Just how big he was playing it.
Are you talking about his portrayal of grief, when his whole family's dead and all of that stuff, or just his banter with
when he was talking to Willem Dafoe mostly, and he was kind of denying what he kind of didn't believe or want to believe what Willem Dafoe was saying about this whole plague and curse and all this stuff, and he's like, just making these weird, and again, of the time, I was like, okay, it just
sure.
And again, maybe it wasn't for me. I get it's of the time. I thought he played it a little too broad, but that's the only acting that I have an issue with. Other than that, I think Lily Rose Depp carried this whole goddamn movie on her back.
To say someone carried the movie implies that everyone else were pulling their weight. So I wouldn't say she carried the movie. I thought she was fine. And gun to my head, who's the weakest link of the movie? I thought she was great, but
no,
she was good. She was good.
Wow.
I mean, that's not a knock on her
no,
at all. I think she did a phenomenal job. I'm just saying, when you stack her up against Willem Dafoe, Ralph Ineson, or you know what, maybe Nicholas Hoult. He's great, but
I thought, speaking of Nicholas, yeah,
he was Nicholas Holty. He was doing the Holt thing.
The whole Holt thing.
Yeah.
So he had big Holt energy, and I love that he was in 2 Dracula movies.
Yeah, Renfield.
But no, I thought Lily Rose Depp, like, just like the nuance in her facial expressions and how she portrayed like longing and yearning, and how she went from like chaotic to just like, you could just tell there was a lot of preparation. And shout out to her giving an inspiration. Shout out also to Isabelle Adjani from the 1979 version, her role in Possession, which was great to hear said out loud. But I think, yeah, the way Lily Rose Depp just portrayed anger and like this internal chaos, and also the love for like this fantasy that she's always had as a kid, and just like pure misunderstanding that like no one else seems to get it, and she doesn't want to be that person, but she is that person.
Yeah, and again, I'm not knocking her performance at all. Like, she was phenomenal. And had we seen this before the Spookies, she might have been in the Breakdancer of the Year category.
You know what?
Because she was popping it on the floor. She was getting into it.
All she needed was a red backwards Yankee hat, and she could have been in the Rollin' video by Limp Bizkit.
Throw some cardboard on the floor.
Yeah, really, get some a whole Adidas tracksuit for her. Put that in the budget, Robert Eggers.
Kind of a possession movie. A little bit.
Yeah, they took their liberties with the possession aspect.
Yeah, as far as like performances of a possessed person, I mean, she was great.
It's up there. Yeah, she was
like back bends and shit, and drooling and sticking her tongue out, and yeah, she was good.
It's kind of hot. Possession is hot to some degree.
Talking about when she was on her knees with spit running out of her mouth, and
not going to say anything.
Damn, Shawty, what's up?
Damn, instead of Lily Rose Depp, Lily Rose DEEP instead of 2 P's. You know what I'm saying? But no, she was, to me, she was the standout.
Yeah.
In Nosferatu. And then yeah, so I think we should go now and shift over to Bill Skarsgård.
Okay. Great. I completely didn't even know it was him. I mean, of course I knew it was him going into it, but he completely disappears into the role. He apparently worked with an opera singer for like months to get his voice an octave lower. And I was talking to our buddy Steven, Toxic Coffin. What up?
Hey, what's up, baby?
Yeah, we were talking about this, and he asked me, like, so do you think they put effects on his voice or some sort of modulation? And I was like, oh, definitely, like, without question. But no, that's just his voice.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
I would record myself to nauseam, like hundreds and hundreds of recordings. And then you play around with microphones, and you can like wow. The closer it is and the further away it is. Like I knew sort of how we could use the microphone as an added tool for it, and the more you project, the more the higher your voice will tend to be. So there was those type of sort of technical aspects of it, and then I just figured out kind of working with Asa, but also with just researching it, and I sort of built my own sort of 25-30 minute little routine. Where I felt that I never wanted the voice to feel put on, so I wanted the voice to kind of surprise myself as I was performing it, that it would just come out of me as opposed to being forced out of me.
It did have this deep booming growl where it sounded like there was like, and not to say that it wasn't his voice, but I thought they just kind of maybe, layered it with his voice just so it had that like big, like groundbreaking, like earth-shattering effects to just make it seem like there's just, you're just speaking to dread itself. And I've been getting it from so many people so I welcome it. This is just my opinion.
But before we jump into the mustache debate, just to add to the voice thing, so he practiced Mongolian throat singing. Do you know what that is? Have you ever heard that?
I have heard of it.
They're like, oh.
Yeah, it's like kind of weird, like vocal sound baths.
Yeah, so he did a lot of training in that, which makes sense. But that's how he was able to get that low register.
And he fully committed to it.
Yeah, and with that said, yes, Nosferatu is rocking a mustache in this. Now, when I first saw Orlok at the castle and he had the hat on, he's sitting at the table, in my mind, I was thinking like, oh, this must be like his secretary or I was like, who's this guy? This is Count Orlok?
This is Renfield?
Yeah, and it took me a minute to be like, oh, okay. This is a choice. He has a mustache. And I was sort of indifferent on it as I was watching it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But you clearly had a problem with it.
No, I was not. And I don't even have a problem with Bill Skarsgård playing it the way he did. I appreciate the different take because they needed to do a different take. It's been years and years since we saw, an adaptation of Nosferatu on the screen. So I love that they were taking swings. That being said, no, I was not a fan of how he looked. Not even the mustache, just like he just looked like a man. The thing to me that gets me excited about Nosferatu is that he looks kind of almost kind of in limbo of being a human and this supernatural being where you kind of can't tell what it is, and he just looked like a Romanian man for the most part.
I mean, he was clearly decaying.
He was definitely once he took off the whole. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like the more I kind of think about it, I actually dig the look of him. I don't have a problem with it, and I'll just read what Robert Eggers himself said about the mustache. Okay, he says, and so the question then became, what does a dead Transylvanian nobleman look like? That means this complex Hungarian costume with very long sleeves, strange high-heeled shoes, and a furry hat. It also means a mustache, the director insisted. No matter what, there's no way this guy can't have a mustache. Try to find a Transylvanian person who is of age who can grow a mustache that doesn't have one. It's part of the culture. If you don't want to bother Googling, think of Vlad the Impaler. Even Bram Stoker had the sense to give Dracula a mustache in the book.
And I'm not taking
Fair
away
enough for me.
Yeah,
I mean, Dracula is based on Vlad the Impaler, who had a big mustache. And, our boy Robert Eggers, he likes to keep it real, like historically accurate. So, yeah, he gave him a mustache.
And that's all well and good. I love that he was the only one to read the book and do his research and give him a mustache. Maybe that's what we were missing. And I know people have told me, like, yes, it was based on, the culture of Romania, and this is what this is what it is. I think that when you're adapting something to the screen from a book or from, folklore or whatever, some things don't translate well on the screen. I don't think personally that translated on the screen for me. I thought it looked goofy. I thought he just didn't, the look and the design just didn't do it for me. I thought even when they zoomed up on his eyes in that one scene, and then when you see he's standing on the coffin with his decayed dick swinging,
yeah,
I thought it looked it just looked very computer animated to me a little bit.
I don't know.
He looked like a charred hot dog.
Well, when you think about it, this character has been around for 102 years. So all we've ever known is Nosferatu, bald head, big teeth, long fingers. That's what we're accustomed to. And that's kind of what we were expecting going into this. So do you think that plays a part into it? Like, well, that's not what Nosferatu looks like.
Yeah, I think it definitely plays a part into a lot of people's opinions on the whole mustache thing. And I'll say it again, I appreciate Robert Eggers and Bill Skarsgård taking some swings, and they said it right there. They're going back to the roots of the story, Bram Stoker. But yes, that's like the figure of what Nosferatu was in everyone's mind until this, 2024 adaptation of Nosferatu existed.
Well, the 1922 version, Nosferatu also had big ass bushy eyebrows.
Yes.
And the 1979 version with Klaus Kinski looks a little
Billy Corgan-esque.
Looks a little derpy. I mean, the two giant front teeth looks more like a giant rabbit than a vampire.
That's what made me feel so unsettled, though. He just looked so unnatural.
I think it would have almost been a bit of a cop-out to just be like, bald head, long fingers, classic Nosferatu look. I mean, I would have been fine either way. And I'm surprised that there's this much of an uproar over a mustache. It's like, can we get over it? And
it's just get over this shit.
Look past a mustache and appreciate the numerous amazing other things in the movie. But I get it. It's a little jarring. Sure.
Listen, I don't mean to harp on the mustache. I have plenty of other gripes with the movie, more so than the mustache, but that is one of them. But I can't sit here and say it wasn't a different decision. He wasn't trying to do something out of the box and different, even though it's originally in the story. It just didn't work for me.
Okay. Yes, fair enough.
Did he look like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic the Hedgehog? Yes. Did he look like really. Tony Levin from Peter Gabriel's band? Yes. Did he look like someone who works at an Italian restaurant that I was in the 1990s? Yes, absolutely. But
okay,
people loved it.
30 seconds is up. All right, you got it. You got it out of you.
I'm good.
All right,
clear.
Good, awesome. I have a question for you, Doug. So, look, overall, I love the movie, but I think that being that this is a remake, do you think I guess it kind of hurts any movie when something's being remade because we already know the story. So let's say, okay, Robert Eggers is making a vampire movie. Okay, the box gets a little smaller because you're operating in this world of this is a vampire movie. He's remaking Nosferatu. It gets even smaller because now he has to operate in this even smaller gothic sandbox, and he can't go completely crazy and do shit wildly different. He kind of has to stay in these parameters. And I feel like maybe that sort of keeps me from giving this like 5 out of 5 stars, just because it's just a story that we already know. And I mean, I think this is like, you couldn't ask for a better interpretation of Nosferatu in 2024 than this. It's a phenomenal movie. But I just feel like, all right, yeah, I know the story. We've heard it told 1,000 times. I mean, Robert Eggers himself directed a Nosferatu play in high school. And
yes.
So,
he told Willem Dafoe that I was watching.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm just saying that whenever you remake something, it ultimately kind of hurts it.
No, you're right.
There are no mystery to it.
Yes, unless you just do something radically different where it's just like a separate movie altogether. You're just using the title. With a story that's so like ingrained in horror and cinema culture. I mean, the 1922 Nosferatu was the first vampire on film, really.
Yeah.
And when it comes to remakes and reboots, I feel like this was one that you could do different takes on, where like, you know, the story's so simple where you could take some liberties here and there on what the story is and kind of flesh it out a little more. The way Robert Eggers, the one scene I did like, or the idea of it was that, you know, Nicholas Hoult stopped at that little like wooden hotel. I liked that little side quest.
Yeah, that part
he went
was cool. You know what? I would say that part sort of drags a little bit for me personally. It's like, all right, let's get to the castle. Let's get the show on the road.
That's what everyone's waiting for.
Yeah, it was great though. I mean, I kind of want to see like a separate movie about what those people are up to. Could have just it maybe dragged a bit here and there.
And when it comes to, I mean, we've spoken about this before, that it's just, it has a lot more stakes when it's something that's so beloved like Nosferatu and it's been done a bunch of times. Our excitement level for this movie was both at an all-time high.
Yeah. And honestly, it still is. I keep thinking about it. Like, I don't know, man. That like I said on rewatch, I really loved it. There's something about this movie. I just want to crawl inside of it and live in this world. It has a coziness to it.
I have to watch it again.
Yeah,
I have to watch it again because I do keep thinking about it, and it's like there was another, like, okay, when Talk to Me came out and you loved it, and I was like, I was kicking myself and thinking to myself, like, why don't I love this movie? Like, I should love this movie. It has all of the elements that I love. Why don't I love this movie?
Because you're tired. You're like, yeah, I rewatched it and I just wasn't sleepy this time and I loved it.
To be fair, that was pre-Zoloft and I was having a hard time for like 4 months.
Oh, those were your words.
Yeah, and no, you were correct, but I still don't love it. Like, I like it.
Sure. Okay.
But Nosferatu, yeah, there's just something missing that I don't know what it is as to why I didn't love this movie, because
you're not the first person I heard that has said that. Like, yeah, it's a well-made movie, but there's some unquantifiable thing that's missing that's keeping me from being completely in love with it.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the dialogue. I just, maybe the execution of the way the pacing and the story went, or just how the camera work was kind of stunted a little bit. Not to say the look of the film was,
well, like, speaking of camera work, I will take a well thought out, well framed scene any day over lots of camera movement. Like in a lot of his movies, I could pause the movie at any point and just sort of admire how everything's set up, like stuff in the background, in the foreground, the symmetry of a lot of his scenes, which I've noticed like rewatching a lot of his movies, he's big on symmetry. He's kind of like the goth Wes Anderson. Like everything is just framed beautifully.
That's actually a perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Just like that. Another reason why you probably want to live inside of this movie and have that monochromatic drip coming onto your skin. I mean, and all of his movies look great. I have no problem with the way the movies look. Just the way it just seems like it's like almost too intimate to a point where like you can't get a scope of like everything around the actors. Like it's just such a small little square that I feel like I want to know what's going on outside of it. And maybe that's, again, there's a reason why Robert Eggers films that way. I would like to get to know the reason why.
There's plenty of big shots, like
there was an aerial shot over the town, which it kind of just, and I love that the hand shot was great.
Yeah, that was cool. Nosferatu's like
servant.
Canuck. Yeah, that dude. Speaking of acting, holy shit, that guy was amazing. But like the shot of him going through the canals, that was a badass shot.
That one I don't remember. I liked when he was sitting in the chair, the electric chair, and he kind of fell over. I mean, he was, he was good. I didn't really, he was good. Definitely no problems with him. And then he goes, to the end to see Nosferatu, and he kind of just worships him for a second, and there he goes.
I think that the movie went from like good to great when Willem Dafoe showed up. Because honestly, I forgot, like I knew going into this, oh yeah, Willem Dafoe's in this. But when he showed up, I was like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot.
And like even his, Willem Dafoe is always great. If you want to make your movie even better, just cast Willem Dafoe.
I mean, that dude is, we talk about good actors and stuff. That fucking guy is an actor. Like he's phenomenal.
I have seen things in this world that would have made Isaac Newton crawl back into his mother's womb. We have not become so much enlightened as we have been blinded by the gaseous light of science. I have wrestled with the devil as Jacob wrestled the angel in Peniel, and I tell you, if we are to tame darkness, we must first face that it exists. Meine Herren, we are here encountering the undead plague carrier, the vampire, Nosferatu.
I could watch him reading the instruction manual to a vacuum cleaner, and I'd be like, this is great. I love this. So to see him and Ralph Ineson, who of course has been in every Robert Eggers movie except The Lighthouse.
Also was in The First Omen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I watched 10 minutes of it like months ago, and I think I fell asleep and I forgot to finish it. You gotta
go back to it, baby.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, Ralph Ineson. That guy's he's another actor who's just solid in everything.
He doesn't get enough credit, and he actually, Marvel did take him.
Oh god!
But just for a voice role, he's voicing Galactus. He's like this huge space creature thing.
Oh, okay. I mean, he does have that. It sounds like he eats gravel for breakfast. He's got like that deep, raspy voice.
Yeah, like he has like coffee grinds in his teeth at all times.
Yeah.
It's like I just want him to read me like a bedtime story. Kind of like this Alan Rickman type of energy.
Sure. Yeah. Kind of looks like him too.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there must be some similarities with the.
But yeah, I did enjoy all the stuff with Willem Dafoe and Ralph Ineson. There was this it was sort of a science versus like mysticism and occultism. Is it a plague? like a scientific plague, or is it this evil force? So I thought there were some interesting ideas explored there.
Yeah, and I was a fan. Like I was a fan of all the dialogue and the story that was happening. Just the way, maybe it was just the way that it was acted and like just told, that I wasn't fully on board with, because I'm still trying to figure out why I don't love this movie.
Well, I I don't know what goes on in your head, but I'm guessing you saw the mustache and you just couldn't shake it. You were like, so everything, it started this like shit ball, like just rolling downhill, and it just got bigger and bigger every time that mustache popped up. So everything good got swept up in the shit wave.
That's the way the cookie crumbled. No, even before,
I don't know.
back to you, fuckers. No, even before the mustache happened, I was just like kind of just I couldn't get in tune with the frequency of the movie. Like I just wasn't feeling it. I was ready. I was so hyped. Got home. We went to the theater. I was pumped. And it started, and I was sitting there, and I was like, okay. Like it just didn't feel epic, and it was just bland to me.
I don't know. Even the opening, God, I love the opening when Lily Rose Depp is in front of the window and you see the shadow, and that shot of her in front of the, in the courtyard or wherever she was in front of that building. Holy shit. That's when I was like, this looks fucking amazing.
Yeah. I don't know why. I wish there is a deeper reason, which I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I just didn't get any sort of emotion. It didn't get emotion out of me.
All right. And while I'm thinking of like beautiful shots of the movie, I think my favorite was when he's at that crossroads and the carriage comes up.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a beautiful shot.
Yeah. Shot at night, completely practical, no CGI or anything. So just from a cinematographer standpoint, beautiful. Love it.
And was there ever like, because the carriage like came up out of nowhere and there was no one in it, and then it kind of just went up the mountain? Like, is there you didn't think that was weird?
I mean, I think at that moment, that's where the movie goes from grounded in reality to this sort of fantastical nightmare. Obviously, a carriage can't just come up to you by itself, but so yeah, it is. I don't know. There's like a dream-like quality to this movie.
Yes, very much so. Especially when there's like there were some shots that kind of like weaved in and out of each other, kind of like this like Sleepy Hollow and Ichabod Crane type of stuff, where like he was in the middle of the road and then the camera pans past the carriage, and all of a sudden he's in the back seat of it and going up the tracks. Definitely felt very, very just dreamlike. And the fact that it was kind of black and white and kind of color, it just felt very effervescent.
Yeah. What did you think about the ending?
Lily Rose Depp definitely saved the day. And it's kind of the same ending as every other Nosferatu movie.
Sure.
She gets bit, and then he's so fucking horny that he can't stop biting her and just dies. Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, been there, brother.
Yeah, that was my last Friday.
Hey, am I right?
Hey, bada bing, bada boom, baby. Yeah, no, I thought the way the sunlight was coming through the window looked beautiful.
Yeah, and when it was hitting Nosferatu and he lets out that scream and blood's coming out of his eyes and mouth, that was incredible. Loved it. And even like, again, talking about framing a shot, I think it's the final frame of the movie where you see Nosferatu and her in bed and like Willem Dafoe walks up to the window and he steps perfectly in line with this little mirror in the corner, and there's a shadow of a cross on the side of his face. I was like, snapshot, love it. fuck yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of Lily Rose Depp and Nosferatu laying in bed together.
But again, that's like kind of going back to my point. I'm more impressed by a well-framed and choreographed shot. Like, okay, we have this picture here. Willem Dafoe steps exactly right here, and it's reflected at that exact point to create this beautiful image. I mean, it's a style. It's not Tarantino zoom-ins and all that shit.
And honestly, you don't need the zoom-ins.
Yeah.
But it's just very, very, very. What's the opposite of subtle?
Overt, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I just like things a little more subtle.
See,
like
I think I think subtlety.
But everything is so like perfectly in line with each other that, like you said, symmetrical. Everything is so perfectly symmetrical, and right here and right there and walk right here, and it's just very crafted rather than looking organic.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But you disagree, which is fine.
No, I get what you're saying. You think it feels rehearsed.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, in a way.
Yeah, sure. I guess it has to be. I mean, any scene you see in a movie they're going to be rehearsrsed. Like, hey, I want you to walk over here, hit that point.
Yeah, everyone has their marks.
Yeah, you gotta. It's just the matter in which you tell the story. I mean, look at like The Substance. I mean, that's wildly different kind of movie compared to this. A lot of up close shots and bright colors, quick cuts in your face. That works great for that movie. This style works great for this movie.
Yeah, maybe it's just the way, and I don't, like, if Nosferatu was cut differently and just more, and I'm glad it wasn't, this fast-paced type of thing. It just, I don't know, there's just something that didn't grip me and something that didn't bring the emotion out of me. Even, when I watched the 1979 version of Nosferatu, like, I feel transported to Transylvania, and I'm in the world, and there's contrast of these beach shots that are so light and blue, and then it just goes to this dark place, and this dark and it's just weird. Yeah, it's just really weird.
It is a very different style of movie.
Yes,
there's also like a lot of kind of shaky handheld stuff in the 79 version.
Yeah, and you have all the coffins coming over with the rat. I just think I just like the way that was shot more so than like the slow brooding, even though it's it's Nosferatu and you need to feel dread. I still felt dread from the 1979 version. Just a different type of dread, different level of dread. Also, what hits you personally, which, and look, a lot of people love this movie. A lot of people loved the feeling of dread. I just didn't feel it with this movie.
All right. I do have to ask you about this scene though, on the ship when Sky goes downstairs and goes to open you didn't like that shot?
No.
When he goes to open the coffin?
Because you see Nosferatu like right behind him, like, oh, dude, of course the camera pans down and then it turns over and then, oh, jump scare. It's like, oh, Robert Eggers is too good for that.
Nah. I mean, look, out of the entire movie, if like what's closest to a jump scare or something, it would be that. But I thought it was badass the way like you're following this guy and you see Nosferatu's back and you're not sure what it is, and then you see him turn. I was like, yeah.
Nah, I just thought he looked goofy without his clothes on, regardless without his clothes off or whatever it is. With his clothes off. That's what I meant.
Well, I love that whole shot. So we are gonna have to respectfully disagree on
Yes.
that one. Loved it.
We're just not on the same page with this movie.
I
And it's
guess
been a while
not.
since that happened. I feel like we haven't had this
Yeah, thank God.
difference of opinion
Yeah.
in a while.
I mean, it's like I said, you're not the only one. I've seen a lot of bad opinions about this movie. Not saying yours is bad. I've seen a lot of just, it's like the people in Florida, the people that went to see that movie that were like, hey, I thought this was going to be the, scary vampire movie. Where's the action? What's all this boring shit? It's like, yeah.
The Blumhouse should have done it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what some people want. They're not looking for like this rich story with vast dialogue and beautiful cinematography. They just want the jump scare, conjuring bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, don't say Conjuring.
Well, I mean, that's a well-made popcorn horror flick.
Yes, and you're not wrong there. It is meant to be enjoyed by the
Hey, let's go see a scary movie. Hey, Conjuring. Yeah.
Hey, there's fucking furniture moving around. Where are the cannolis? Keep them
Hey.
locked up in the fridge.
Insidious Part 12. Yeah, let's go to that.
The quest for more money. But yeah, I don't know. I just wish this version of Nosferatu made me feel something. Like I wanted to be in the dread. I wanted to be in the middle of the nightmare, and I just wasn't. And I honestly can't wait to see it again because maybe my mind will change. That's the beautiful thing about movies.
Yeah,
You can change your mind on them.
Look, I'm sure this is not the last time we'll talk about this movie. So I look forward to you rewatching it, and like I said, maybe your mind will change, or maybe you'll double down, and who knows?
Either way, it'll be a fun conversation no matter what. Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's not like, and I'll say it again. I don't hate this movie, and to give myself some credit, I'm not only bitching about the mustache. I know a lot of people are bitching about the mustache, but I have more thoughts than just the mustache.
Yeah, I mean,
as much as you disagree with me,
never has facial hair divided people so much.
I don't know. Do you remember Justice League? That whole thing with Henry Cavill's mustache was CGI'd out because he didn't want to shave it for Mission Impossible, and people were going crazy over the fact that there was like a rubber, like just rubber skin.
Oh yeah, I did see an image of that, and yeah, that just looked like shit. But I mean, that's sort of different.
I think. Mustache. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I just thought, yeah. I mean, just with Nosferatu's look and design, to me, I would like my Nosferatu a little more supernatural and creature-like rather than just like a Romanian man. But that's this version.
I appreciate Robert Eggers for being the kind of filmmaker that's like, no, I have this vision. I'm going to tell this story the way it was meant to be told. I might be like kind of paraphrasing. I might butcher it, but in an interview, he said something to the effect of, it's not history's job to like cater itself to your comforts. Like, history is history. It happened. My job as a filmmaker is just to tell it as accurately as possible in the face of, possible criticism or. So I respect any filmmaker that's not going to, do what's more accessible for the sake of it.
I agreed. And the beautiful thing about cinema also is that you could have the historically accurate version, and you could have, that's the whole point of cinema, I think, is that everyone is going to have a different take on it. Everyone is going to have their own imaginative spin on it, whether it's accurate or not. Is it interesting? Is it compelling? Is it good? Is it entertaining? I think these are all factors that go in line with how a movie should be. You never want your movie to be boring. You never want your movie to be to not provoke some type of challenging emotion out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I would never discredit Robert Eggers for going against the grain and giving a vampire a mustache. As much as I am not a fan of how it looked, at least we got it. At least he did it, and it's different. I applaud different.
Sure. I will say this about Nosferatu. I have a pull to go back and rewatch it. I kind of want to go see it a third time just because this movie it has what I miss, which is mood, like ambiance, and it's kind of builds its own world. I can't say that about the substance. It's not a moody movie. It's a great movie, but it doesn't have that like that sort of just gothic, cold vibe to it.
Yeah,
like we don't get a lot of these.
No, and one thing, and one positive that I will say about Nosferatu 2024, the tone of the movie. I mean, there's not like, over the top, like just forced humor, which is great. I thought he took the source material pretty seriously.
There is a little bit there's some moments of levity. I love the part when they're doing the exorcism and it just hard cuts to them standing in front of the fireplace and Willem Dafoe's like lighting his pipe. Just that like hard cut from this chaos to them just standing around was hilarious to me.
I guess like on like I got organically funny stuff rather than just like here's a joke.
Yeah.
It just seems like natural, the natural flow of things.
Sure.
Like when in the beginning when Thomas and Frederick were or Friedrich, however you want to say it, Friedrich were talking about like having kids and whatnot. Like they were like being buddy and joking around, but it
you
just
always were rutting goat.
like see, like that's just humanity.
Just
like
guys being dudes.
Yeah, bros being buddies. But that's all I have to say about Nosferatu.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing it again and getting a second opinion on it. And that kind of closes out horror for 2024. That was like the last big release.
Yeah, and we have a new Christmas classic. I thought this was just being released on Christmas, but no, it is a Christmas movie. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, keep it in the rotation next to Jingle All the Way and Santa with Muscles.
Exactly.
Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Nosferatu.
Santa with muscles.
Watch that movie.
I want to.
It's with Hulk Hogan.
I still haven't seen the Goldberg movie.
Santa's Sleigh? Oh,
Santa's
dude.
Sleigh.
Also another holiday classic. Yes.
Dude, I saw a sealed DVD copy of that at the thrift store like last week. And
was it $1?
I just forgot to buy it. And I was like, I got to buy that. So I went back. It was gone.
Oh, son of a bitch.
It. Yeah.
You blew your chance.
You blew it.
But it has to be streaming somewhere. You got to see it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. My next watch is Baby Girl.
That's right, baby.
Baby Girl, and I'm going to rewatch The Lighthouse because I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters.
It was playing actually at Cinema Arts Center last week, and I missed it because I was working. And we were planning on seeing that in theaters, but probably just watch it at home. I did tell you, I watched Eyes Wide Shut for the first time last night. Pretty great movie.
A lot of Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, getting in.
Lots of Nicole Kidman talk.
And she's Baby Girl in that movie too.
Did you see it at AMC? So
no, I didn't. I was supporting local indie theater for that one, but
no, I just want to see the Nicole Kidman movies are magical intro before Baby Girl.
One Letterboxd review I saw, which is like one sentence and it summed everything up perfectly. It was like, "We come to this place for magic." Like, come. In case you didn't understand it.
Have you ever seen Dead Calm? 1989. It's Nicole Kidman, Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. No, but I've heard of it. I know what it is, but I've never watched it.
Our boy, shit, what's his name?
Wow.
Shit. Sam Neill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just them three in the movie. It's Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman on a boat in the middle of the ocean. Billy Zane's on this like deserted boat, so he swims onto theirs, and it turns out to be like not who he says. It's like
one of those.
It's like a good thriller.
89, you said?
Yeah, I gave it like 3 stars. I was like, this is solid.
Or 3. That's how I felt about Nosferatu. So maybe
I saw that. I was like, really? Okay. Fine. We all have opinions.
I'm sorry. You, Phil. Fuck you.
Fuck you, Phil. I'm just messing with you.
I love you, man. Come over here.
Well, we won't keep dragging this out, but hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Doug, I'm glad we could have this conversation. I thought it was going to be just nothing but mustache talk, so that's good.
Well, I have a little bit more nuance than that, baby. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Well,
it's not just about the fucking stash.
Is it time for you to end your online crusade against the mustache? You're going to keep it going for another
Let me think about it.
Okay.
Listen, I would post my whole review, but it's not as funny as the mustache talk.
All right. Well, we are going to get on out of here. Hey, Doug, this was our last episode of 2024.
It technically is still 2024.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to seeing what we got for next year already, baby.
Same here. Yeah, it's been a good year. Thank you all so much for watching or listening. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, do all of that shit.
Thumbs up.
If you're listening, hop on over to YouTube, join the party. Yeah. That's all I got for now. I'm still bad at ending podcasts, as you can tell. I just start saying words.
Keep on rambling. It's called word salad, and we're just going to keep on yapping.
And with that said, I'm not going to say catch you in the new year. I'm not going to be that guy. Hey, catch you in 2025.
Hey, see you next year, bub.
Hey, see you next year. Oh.
Hey, cheers. Oh, my God.
All right. Bye, everybody.